Guys, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. And no, I haven't moved games room. My daughter's having a sleepover and her and her pal have basically kicked me out of my games room. So this is her delightful bedroom, complete with 5 seconds off summer calendar and a frozen duvet. Yeah, anyway, dearie me. I trust you've all had a good week. I've had another hectic week at work, but I've got to say, since starting this job, time just flies in. It's Monday and Friday and the other sort of 3 or 4 days in between, just 4 days I should say, 3 days in between even, just seem to absolutely fly in. Anyway guys, right, what have I been doing with myself this week on a gaming front? What have I been doing? I've not played any current gen at all. What was I doing? I've been playing a bit of Robotron, yep. And I've been playing with my Nvidia Shield, which I love. It's the more I use it, it's such a versatile machine. You know, not just for gaming. I mean, my daughter and her pal were watching a YouTube videos on the TV today. Just plugged it into the sort of mini HDMI cable, and away you go. So yeah, having a lot of fun with that. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to burp. That's not one to come. Yeah, what have I been, other things that I've been doing, I have been spending, I've been selling stuff to buy stuff. Now something that I've been looking to get is a mini Mac, is it they call it? Mac Mini, I think they call it, yep. Basically to stream video and also play a bit of MAME. Pardon me, I've had a Chinese takeaway, so I do apologise. Yeah, my mate George, he's got a Mac Mini. It's quite an old system, and he's got MAME in it, and he's also got this. I think it's Xbox Media Center, and it's utterly fantastic for streaming video. So I've been kind of looking about. I've been onto Gumtree, looking to pick up one. Now I've got to say, I don't know anything about Apple products. I've got an iPad, I've had iPhones. But don't ask me to use a computer. I have never even, other than seeing George's computer, that is the only time I've ever seen an Apple computer. Never used it, so it's completely alien to me. So anyway, yeah, I saw a couple on Gumtree. One was actually double the price of the other one, and to me it looked like the same spec, but I ran it past one of my mates, and he told me that the more expensive one was the one to go for, so I'm going through tomorrow to pick it up. So what I'll probably do is do a wee what have I bought now video and let you see this thing running once I get it going. On that front, although the job I've got still isn't full time, or sorry, it is full time, but it's not permanent. As I've mentioned, I've got the contract until they've extended my contract to the end of June. So but I am 99.999% sure that it is going to go full time or go permanent. If I don't get it, I'll be absolutely devastated and gobsmacked. So yeah, I've been promising myself a new computer. The one I've got, it's getting pretty old and clunky. You know, I've had it for I think 7 years. Some of the USB ports don't work, and I think there's only one, is it USB 2 or something they call it, actually works. So it's hit or miss. The mouse seems to stop working half the time. You've got to unplug it and plug it back in. So I've been kind of on the lookout for a PC. Now I'm looking to spend really no more than sort of $450, I would say. Now ideally I would like something that's quite robust, that's going to be able to run games. Not that I'm really bored about running games, I have to say, but you know, I thought if I'm spending money on a new computer, I want it to be able to run maybe Oculus Rift. But talking to a few mates that are in the know, they seem to think that, you know, that won't even scratch the surface of a machine to do that. So I've been asking a few mates to kind of come back to me with something decent. I mean, thinking on, I've been looking for something. I was thinking I would want to get something with a decent graphics card, but probably, given that most of my gaming is on emulators on MAME, and I use obviously the computer for doing sort of video editing, I think a faster processor would take precedence over a decent graphics card. So yeah, I'm going to see what I can get for sort of maybe $450 tops. I was also thinking about, you know, there was a guy selling an Apple, I think it was for 700 quid, and I'm thinking, should I make the jump to Apple? I don't know, but a few guys have said if you're into playing games, then you're better off sticking with Windows. But that's got me thinking, what, I mean, I know that the PC community through Steam is still, it's still very, very active. There's still a lot of new games coming out for PCs. I don't know anything about the Apple system as far as being a gaming platform. Are there games out for it? I mean, I know stuff like The Sims. My daughter's got The Sims 4, I think it is. And yeah, you can buy, I think it's a sort of dual disc type thing. But I've never, like I says, I don't know anything about the Apple system. You know, do most games come out for Apple? I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to getting this little PC thing tomorrow. Although it's going to be getting connected to the big TV through an HDMI cable, and it is primarily going to be getting used for streaming media. I've got a little, what do you call it, a little Bluetooth keyboard which I got, I think I did a review of it actually. I got it free with a Pokemon game of all things for £7 out of Argos. So I'm going to see if I can use that, and I think it comes with a cordless mouse, a wireless mouse as well. Although I believe you can use an iPad or an iPhone as a sort of wireless keyboard type thing as well. So yeah, looking forward to getting that. So anyway, I'm going to pause this, guys, before it cuts out. Right, okay, the ever reliable Mr. Jamie has given me some questions, and as usual, guys, I don't prepare these at all. I just print them off. I copy and paste them onto a piece of paper and print them off. So anyway, let's shoot, as they say. Jamie, right, okay. Number one, YouTube's pointless and deeply flawed thumbs system, in my opinion, is ridiculous and should disappear up its own arse, or basically quite useful and should stay. Now, yeah, this question of Jamie's has arisen because in the last, not my last video, what would that be? That was the year that was. But my first two videos that I put out this week, which was Arcade Perfect, and I also did a, what do you call it? I think I did a, what the bloody hell do you call it? A Mamemeister 10-minute mashup. Can't remember what game it was. And I also did a VR response, basically 5 gaming related facts about me that nobody gives two shits about. And strangely enough, I got thumbs down in all 3. Basically 3 out of 4 videos I got a thumbs down. Now what was interesting was one of them, I can't remember what one it was, it had 2 views. One of them was myself, because I always watch back. Well, I usually tend to watch the video just initially to see what it looks like. It had 2 views and I got a thumbs down, so obviously this guy's going straight in, thumbs down. Now I've already explained my hatred for the thumbs down button. Nothing to do with you know, pardon me, oh excuse me, nothing to do with the fact that he's given my video a thumbs down. It's what purpose does it serve? Now, I kinda get a thumbs up because, you know, if a video is good, if it's particularly good, if you really enjoy it, you think it's entertaining, whatever, then by all means you give it a thumbs up, and it lets people look at it and think, oh, that looks quite good, it's got X number of thumbs up. But and what you tend to find is people who give things a thumbs up, they may make a wee comment, whatever, and say, oh, enjoyed the video, whatever it is. The thumbs down, I've never ever, that I'm aware of, seen somebody give a video a thumbs down and put a comment to say why. Now if they did that, I would completely get it. Now the thing is, we all, the guys that are in the YouTube community, the guys that sort of make the videos like myself, we don't do it for any money. You know, we do it because A, we enjoy it, and B, I mean, I certainly feel like I'm kind of, not obliged, that's the wrong word to use, but I feel like I owe you guys something, because I mean, I must admit, over the last, I would probably say the last couple of weeks, the banter between a lot of the guys that are on it, the community, is really good. You know, there's a few characters, Daniel, who likes to make about 15 million comments on each video, and they're always very technical, although Daniel does have an inherent hatred of my cheapo TV. Which I think's brilliant. Yeah, what was I talking about? Aye, so yeah, I make these because I enjoy making them, but also, the fact that you guys enjoy watching them is like the wee pat in the back that I need to say, well, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to keep making these, because there's been a few times, I mean, right at the very start, I think I was 42, I don't know why I remember that, I was 42 videos in, and I was getting like 2 or 3 views per video, and it just hit me. I thought, what's the point in making these, because I don't make them for me to watch, although call me egotistical, but I used to actually enjoy watching my own videos, not because I enjoy seeing myself in camera, but I just like listening to anybody, whether it's me or anybody else, talking about old systems. I've completely forgot my train of thought. Where was I going with this? So anyway, yeah, so by all means, if you don't like a video, then, give it a thumbs down. Yeah, but the point I was making here is, we don't do it for any money, we do it just for the love of making these things, and plus, it's good fun being part of a community. But yeah, people who just either watch the first 10 seconds of a video and give it a thumbs down, now what are they giving it a thumbs down for? Do they hate me? That's understandable, I completely get that. If they don't like me as a person, they think wanker, then, well, personally, if I don't like somebody, I certainly wouldn't watch their videos. I don't understand that. If a video, I mean, I don't think I have ever, I watch a lot of videos on YouTube, and I don't think I've ever given a video a thumbs down. Yeah, I've watched videos for 20 seconds and think, not my cup of tea, move on. Why would I give it a thumbs down? It's just like a negative slight against this person making the video. If it's something, if it was like, I don't know, child, well, I wouldn't even watch a video with child abuse obviously, but if it was a video that was particularly nasty, maybe featuring a bully or pet animal cruelty or something like that, or really, something that was quite offensive, then I would probably just think and move on. I wouldn't even give it a thumbs down, but I could understand somebody giving a nasty video a thumbs down. But to give a video that's somebody playing a video game a thumbs down, I don't get it. If you don't like a video, I mean, whoever you are, I'm guessing you're probably going to watch this. If you are that person, by all means, if you don't like this video, give it a thumbs down, but please at least tell me what you don't like about it. If you don't like me, tell me. If it's the content, if it's my accent, if it's my jokes, whatever, tell me. I can only imagine that you've got better things to do with your life than watch videos from people that you don't like. So yeah, if you're going to give me a thumbs down, at least bloody tell me and give me a chance to sort of put it right. So anyway, yeah, that is the thumbs down one. I don't like it. I don't see the point of it at all. I really, really don't. I just wish they'd take it away, because it serves absolutely nothing, in my opinion. Now Jamie's asking another one here. What are your favourite and least favourite retro gaming controllers, and why? Retro gaming controllers. Now, joystick wise, basically a sort of basic digital joystick. I used to have a joystick called the Boss, and it was by a company called Wico. Google them. They were a famous, not famous, but they were an American company that made joysticks. Wico, W-I-C-O. And they made this thing called the Boss, and this thing it had a big massive base, big grey base, big stick, and it had the fire button on the very top, and it actually felt more like an analog stick. I mean, it was how I managed to play games like Drop Zone with this, I'll never know, because you had to literally go move left, move right. I mean, you had that much movement, whereas a quick shot would be like click, 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 click. This thing was like, it was ridiculous. But I loved it, absolutely loved it. But yeah, I like the Atari joystick, the original Atari 2600 one. Now I know Adam, he made on, is it Old Amiga? I can't remember exactly your username, but he did a feature on it. The Atari joystick's an iconic joystick. It's very simple, it's robust. That's why you still get so many of these things. It does what it says in the tin. It's a great joystick. It's for standard games. The Atari 2600 joystick takes a lot of beating. But yeah, my favourite controller. I don't know, I can't think if I've got a particular favourite. I've got a few favourites. I love the Wavebird, which is the wireless one for the GameCube. It's excellent, really, it feels great, it's like ergonomic, it just sits in the hand, the buttons feel really nice and kind of clicky. I love that one. I also like the Xbox 360 controller. I think they've really nailed it. I wasn't so keen on the PS3 controller. Is it what the hell, I don't know, the dual something or another. It felt quite light, but I do like the PS4 one. A lot of people seem to rate that as the best controller. It is excellent. It's a really, really good controller. Trying to think of any sort of more vintagey type ones. The SNES controller, the SNES gamepad is an excellent gamepad. Just feels really good. It plays. It's excellent for the games that you know, came out in that system. Wasn't a big fan of the Mega Drive one, but yeah, favourite one. I would probably go for the PS4. It just feels it's that bit longer. It's a bit wider. It just feels really, really nice to play. But on old systems, I would go for the Wico Boss. Yeah. Most disliked controller. The, what do you call it? The Atari 7800. It's got an absolutely god awful controller. I'm trying to think what it's like, long and narrow, and it's got this big square joystick thing, and you're trying to hold it, and as you're trying to turn it, it's just moving about. It's just crap. It's an awful controller. What else? There's been a few dodgy controllers. I know that Intellivision, which I've never owned, it looked more like a TV remote control. That was pretty crap, and I think rather than a joystick, it was like a wee silver foil sort of gamepad type thing. But actually, controllers that I've used a lot. Let me think. I'm going to be controversial here. I'm going to say the N64 controller, now, which is quite ironic because one of my favourite controllers is the Wavebird. Oh, you know what? I'm talking bollocks. Yeah, the Wavebird is for the GameCube. The N64 is for a completely different machine. So I'm talking shite. Yeah, the N64 controller, I don't like it. You know what? It feels really, really, really cheap and nasty. It's plasticky. I don't like the fact that you hold it with your left, you know, hand, and the wee thumbstick, wee sort of analog thumbstick, just feels really cheap. It feels like it could snap at any point. I mean, I'm convinced if you dropped it, it would snap. Yeah, I understand they tried to make it so you could use it with two hands, or you could also use it with one, but I just didn't go on with it at all. So yeah, my most hated controller would be the N64. Yeah, I'm going to pause this again, guys. Okay, number 3 from James or Jamie. Should retro games only be played with original controllers, if possible? What retro system emulators work as well or better with modern controllers, if any? Excuse me. What you saying here? Yeah, I would say any computer, 16-bit or 8-bit games need to be played with a proper digital joystick. None of this gamepad pish. You can play them a gamepad, but games, I don't know, they just don't feel right, or they don't control well. I mean, try playing like Drop Zone or I don't know, Uridium using a 360 controller, or you know, something like that. It just doesn't feel right at all. I always felt that joysticks kind of gave a better precision of control or something, you know. So yeah, I would say 8-bit and 16-bit computers need a proper joystick. Should retro games? Well, I've done that one. What retro system emulators work as well or better with modern controllers? Well, I would say any kind of console like the SNES, Mega Drive, they all play, even PC Engine, they all play really well with an Xbox 360. I've got a wired 360 controller on my PC, and I've got to say that it's absolutely fantastic for any of these kind of gamepad type systems. It kind of makes a lot of sense because they were written with the gamepads in mind, so if you're using a gamepad it plays perfectly. I think some of the, I mean, you do get, I mean, stuff like Mame, there's a game, Tekken World Cup, and it used to utilise a trackball which you basically had to sort of hammer to try and make the guy run. Now using a joystick, you're basically running at full pelt with no effort at all, so that, I wouldn't say it improves the game, it certainly makes the game a damn sight easier. But yeah, I think any kind of console that required a gamepad and it had 3 or 4 buttons, then it works absolutely fine with a 360 controller. But if you want to play 8-bit machines, then or 16-bit Amiga, Atari ST, whatever, you need to get yourself a standard Atari 8-pin joystick. Now I did pick up a little device thing off eBay for, I think it was £7. You plug it into your USB port and then you plug your 8-pin Atari bit into it, and it means that you can use a normal joystick on an emulator. So if you've not got the room or the space or the money for original hardware, then go and get yourself one of these little devices. It means that you can play the Commodore 64 or Spectrum using a proper joystick, and it is dog's bollocks. Yeah, okay, right, number 4, Jamie says here, you've said in past videos that you didn't get to visit arcades very often. I know you have your awesome MAME cab. No, you're definitely not getting it. But it isn't quite the same as the real thing. So, not in hindsight, but back in the day as you scanned CNVG and Zaps, I date arcades features, what games would you have loved to have played but didn't get to? I totally agree on the, it's an awesome MAME cab, but it's not quite the same. Now that, when I was at that Edinburgh Museum Retro Fair thing a couple of weeks ago, I was playing Robotron, and although Robotron plays really nicely in the MAME cab, it's got twin sticks, you know, it's a standard sort of like arcade joystick that I've got, or 2 joysticks, but these cabs, even though it was like joysticks, they were designed specifically for the game in mind. I mean, things like Pac-Man, they were 4-way joysticks, so it meant that you could only ever move up, down, left or right. You couldn't go at a diagonal. So the original Pac-Man joystick is far more precise than using like something that I've got, or using a gamepad. So yeah, and then when I was playing Robotron, the joysticks, because it's a very twitchy game, there's a lot of like, you know, hammering the joy. I mean, when I'm playing it, I'm not the biggest chap in the world, but when I'm playing it, I'm sort of rocking the cab about quite violently because it is a very twitchy game. And the joysticks are kind of cushioned, you know, just when you're moving them. I mean, if I was to go like that in the MAME cab, it would make a lot of noise, but on these ones, it's like padded. It's hard to kind of explain it. But yeah, the controls do play differently from, you know, something like my MAME cab. But games that I never got a chance to play in the arcades. The funny thing is, the games that I love now are the games that I did get to play. Stuff like Commando, 1942, Galaxian, Track and Field. These are all games that I did get exposure to. But games I never got a chance to play. I don't know. I mean, there's games like Juno First. Yeah, there's a shed load of games that I love now that I never ever got. That I never got to play for real. The first time I got to play them was A, on my Commodore 64, or B, when MAME came out. I can't think of any. I mean, I suppose stuff like I don't know, I was going to say like G-Lock or whatever it was. You know, there's some of these. What was I playing? I was playing one the other day there. Can't remember what it was. It was one of these sort of 3D games. It was the Power Drift. I can't remember, but no, I can't say there's any particular game that I never got to play back in the day that I would want to play back in the day. Does that make sense? No, I think I'm talking shite. Yeah, basically what I'm saying is any game that I wanted to play in arcades, I did get to play. Yeah, there's nothing, I can't say there's any game that I've played since that I think, oh, I'd love to go back in time and play it. I suppose that if there was one game, I would say Star Wars. Star Wars, I only had a couple of games, if that, of the original sit-down cockpit version. That is obviously a classic game. Tempest as well, that's a game that it requires that precise control, it requires the proper kind of spin, not spin ball, spinner thing. But yeah, there's not many games, I can't think of anything other than these two that I would like to have played the original, because you know what, my main cab rocks, and it's almost there, it really is. So yeah, that is that one. Now that is the last from Jamie. Now Paul Ainsworth has kindly, he's not given me so much questions, but he's given me some items that I could sort of do future features on. Is that a phrase? Yeah, I managed to say that without stuttering. Now the first one Paul is saying here, number 1, pick a game at random on any system, do a review and play through, then ask us to play through for the week and see if we are on the same opinion as you regarding the game and see who does it best. That's an excellent idea, Paul, and I'll probably do that, so I'll need to come up with a name for that feature. Number 2, hidden gems, games we should be all playing but slip the radar. Know it's sort of been done before, but hey, hidden gems. I've probably mentioned these before now. A game that I was playing 2 nights ago, I've made no secret that it's one of my favourite video games. It's not an arcade game, this one, and it's a Super Pipeline on the Commodore 64. Now I know it's on the Amstrad, I think, in the Spectrum. It's just an absolutely fantastic game. It really is. I was playing it last night, 2 nights ago, and it's got these little cutscenes in between, and I've played it a million times, and I just love it to bits. It's an absolutely awesomely fun game. I mean, it's probably the, I was going to say funnest, most fun game I've ever played. I mean, Robotron, it's fun, but it's damn frustrating, and it's quite, you know, tense when you're playing it. But Super Pipeline, go and check it out. There's Super Pipeline, then Super Pipeline 2 came out. Basically you control the part of a sort of a gaffer, a wee guy who works on a sort of building site type thing, and you've got 2 little helpers, or minions as I like to call them, and basically you're in charge of this pipeline, and you've got to try and let the pipe fill up a little barrel at the bottom of the screen. But in come all these various sort of minions, from crabs to spanners, hammers, things like that, guys who drop rivets, and they basically try and put holes in the pipe, and it's up to you to keep the pipeline flowing. And it's a superb game, really is. I mean, I know it's not an unheard of game, but a lot of people probably have never played it, but go check it out. If you like video games, you'll love this game, Super Pipeline, or Super Pipeline 2 by Taskset. Awesome game. Anything else arcade wise? Can't think. I mean, Terra Cresta, one of my favourite games. It's one of the slightly lesser known shoot 'em ups. I love it to bits. I don't know quite what it is about the game. I just think it's an excellent shooter. Yeah, but again, it's not a particularly unknown game. Another game on the C64, because obviously that's my heritage, is Rocket Ball. Don't ask me who wrote the game. It's a game that's probably, you could probably ask 100 people, retro gamers, and I would probably guarantee that less than 10 would actually have heard of this game. It only came out in the Commodore 64, and it's basically rollerball. You control, I think it's 5 characters, and the ball gets shot around in a sort of circle, and you've got to try and pick up the ball and throw it in the opponent's sort of net, whatever you want to call it. But it's super violent, it's super fun, it's really skillful as well. You've got 10 levels. It's an awesome game, and then if you play it against an opponent as well, it's brilliant. It's a completely underrated game, and I for one would love to see that get remade for a sort of current console. But yeah, Rocket Ball, go check that out. That's on the Commodore 64. And no other game that's quite unknown, but again I loved it, is Formula 1 on the Spectrum by CRL. Now this was a game that I played. Me and my mate had a Spectrum, I had a Commodore 64, and we decided one day we would swap computers for the night. So I took his Spectrum home, he got my Commodore 64 and disk drive, and I was going through his various C90 tapes, and up popped this game, Formula 1, and I thought, this looks pish. It looked like Football Manager, but racing cars. So I started playing it, and basically you pick who you want to drive. I mean, it's not like Ayrton Senna, it's things like, it's not even Nigel Mansell, I can't even remember, I can't even Nelson, Piqué, stuff like that. Really old crusty 1980s drivers. And Nicky Lauda, I think he's there as well. You basically pick what driver you want to drive for you. You can upgrade your engine, that kind of stuff. It's pretty basic, it's really basic. You make a few choices and then it's left, you've then got to decide what tyres. It'll give you a sort of prediction, you know, weather forecast, drive at weather forecast. So you think, well, I'll put on my, whatever it is they're called, slicks I think it is. So you've got to decide what tyres you have. And then basically you're then treated to about 10 minutes of highlights. And it's just a static screen with the sort of grandstand in the background. And you just see the cars, yip, 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 yip. And of course you can see the colour of your car, and it's quite exciting just watching this thing, cheering your car on. It sounds total bollocks, and I'm sure if your engine blows or you want to change tyres, excuse me, you want to change tyres, you actually get a little sort of pit sequence where you actually control the sort of pit crew. It sounds completely bollocks, but honestly guys, if you like kind of football manager strategy type games, go and check it out. It's CRL Formula 1. Interestingly, I actually saw a version of that. Somebody had actually updated it, I think it was 1998, so you've got things like David Coulthard and Damon Hill. It's still the same graphics. Apparently they've actually tweaked a few bits and pieces, but it's virtually, well, it looks identical to me, but it has got kind of more up to date names in it, so yeah, go and check it out. I think that's all the only games I can think of, guys, and I'm going to pause it again. Right, okay chaps, Jolly who? Right, hidden gems, right, okay, Paul, number 3, doing a revisit to That Was the Year That Was. As you've said, there's too many games to cover, but how about a 1988 or whatever, revisited part 2 and so on. Aye, another good idea, Paul. It's certainly one that I can think about doing. I mean, I'm up to 1989, and the funny thing was, I thought that as I got up to about this kind of time, the number of games that I'd be picking would be less, but what I do, if I've heard of the game, it goes in, you know, and that's why, I mean, this week it was ridiculous. There was something like 30 odd games in it. I'm getting, I reckon probably the next, you know, 2-3 years, the games are just going to reduce dramatically. I can't even begin to think of what games are going to appear in 1990, 91, 92, and like I said, I reckon probably up to about 94, 95, and then that'll probably pretty much be that feature knocked in the head. I'll probably retire it for a short time, and then I'll think about doing a kind of revisit, or might even do like That Was the Year That Was 8-bit, you know, and have like Commodore 64, Spectrum, Amstrad games, but rather than pick a game that was out in all the systems, you know, pick a specific game, so like Night Lore for the Spectrum, Drop Zone for the C64, something like that. But yeah, it's certainly a good idea, Paul, and it's one I shall bear in mind. Okay, Paul then says number 4 here, 8-bit systems, strictly the main 3 being the Spectrum, C64 and Amstrad. Well, I'd actually say C64, Spectrum and Amstrad, thank you very much. Comparing a game in each 3 systems, but having the 3 games run simultaneously, or screenshots of all 3 so we can see the differences at once. Aye, you know what, I could probably do that. I think what I would need to do is, I remember years ago, I mean, I've got a stupid number of emulators on my PC. I did just that. I actually had like tiny little mini windows of about 10 systems all running at once. Now obviously I can't physically play the same game on all 3 systems at once, but I'll certainly have a wee tinker about it. I'll see if I can open like 3 windows, you know, and show you them. I don't know how feasible it will be, Paul, but I'll certainly give it a go. It's quite an interesting thing to think about, so yeah, excellent. And this is a good one, number 5, obscure systems, their history and software. Now, I've never proclaimed to be a sort of a lesson in video games, you know. I'm never going to be one that's going to do research. I mean, because at the end of the day, I'm out like Steve Benway. You don't need me to tell you the history of the Spectrum or the history of the Sword M5, anything like that. You can go and look at it yourself. I mean, you know, that's what Google's for. You don't need to have me, and to be perfectly honest with you, I couldn't be arsed doing that. But what I think I will do, there's a lot of what I'll probably do is a system overview, and I'll have to use emulators, unfortunately. But some bizarre systems. I mean, one of my favourite systems that you'd probably see me bang on about at any opportunity is the Sharp X68000. It's an utterly fantastic machine. So I may do a feature where I just feature an obscure system one a week, something like that. Maybe not even as much as one a week. But yeah, do a wee overview of the system, play some games, give you my thoughts on it. That would be a pretty cool thing to do. Right, number 6 I should say. 8-bit games franchise, i.e. Dizzy. The company, coders behind them, how many games were produced on what systems and their future or demise. Yeah, another good one. Now I've got to say, and again I'm going to get shot down for this, I've never gotten Dizzy. I think because I was a Commodore 64 owner, Dizzy I always felt was primarily a Spectrum sort of franchise. Now when Dizzy came out, when did it come out? I don't know, 87, 88. I was quite an early adopter of 16-bit, so the whole Dizzy thing kind of passed me by. Always thought it looked a bit shit, you know, it looked quite babyish, but I completely get how good the games are. I have tried in the past to play Dizzy. I mean, I think because I was a sort of slightly more mature user, I kind of found the whole Dizzy thing a bit namby-pamby. Maybe that's why I don't like Rainbow Islands, in case I've never mentioned that. Oh, that's guaranteed a thumbs down. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dizzy, but yeah, there's certainly franchises, you know, even, maybe not even so much a franchise, but you know, there's some really cracking software houses that are out there. What I may actually do is a feature, just pick a software house and just show a couple of minutes of each of their games, talk about them, you know, whether they're good or bad, or you know, what other games did they go on to make any more popular games, sort of thing. So yeah, that's another cracking idea, Paul, thanks for that. Okay, number 7, one-offs on the technical side of the 8-bit system. Raw power from CPU, RAM and so on. Can one system perform better than another with better coding, though it may be more powerful? Take the C64 and 464, they have 64K of RAM and 48K Spectrum. Doesn't always mean the games are better. That one's probably a bit too technical for me, if I'm perfectly honest with you, Paul. I think maybe that's one we can, I'll need to get Daniel in. I need to get Daniel to do a guest appearance, and he can do a review of the systems, because I'm a bit of an idiot when it comes to sort of technical specs and that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's probably one I wouldn't do, just because I really wouldn't have a clue what I'm talking about. But then since when has that stopped me doing talking about things? Right, number 8, Paul says, cheats poke section either on its own or at the end of a feature. Perhaps a game chosen and all cheat pokes try to show what can be done with the game. Now that's another very kind of Spectrum-y orientated type thing. Now I've never, because I wasn't a Spectrum man back in the day, pokes and that kind of stuff wasn't something that I ever really kind of got into. I mean, Commodore 64, you tended to find that the crackers would put like cheat modes in, you know, infinite energy, infinite lives, infinite smart bombs, whatever. So you didn't really have to sort of piss about with pokes and that. But again, it's another good idea. I'll certainly have a think about it. Okay, and then Paul goes on finally to say, okay, think that will do for suggestions. But on a personal note, I would love to see a section on the fantastic Dizzy series. We've already discussed that. Most of the 8-bit systems, and again on the 3 main systems. Perhaps a review, a gameplay of them all, or any one of the systems, starting from number 1. Yeah, like I says, Paul, that is something I'm going to think about. May not be so much a franchise. I mean, I can't think of, other than the Night Lore, possibly, and or Ultimate, I should say, in the Dizzy games. I can't think of any other real popular franchises. Although probably as soon as I turn this camera off, I'll think of 10 million. Yeah, but anyway, listen, Paul, thank you very much for all these. There's some cracking ideas, and as usual to you, Jamie, I do appreciate it. Please keep the questions coming, guys, because without these there wouldn't be any Friday Waffle, which may not be a bad thing. Now, one idea, new features coming up, whatever you want to call this. Jamie came up with a fantastic idea about possibly doing an interview. He seems to think that I've got some top kind of buddies who are in this industry. Now, that got me. I was out for a run tonight, and it got me thinking. And I thought, you know what, that's an excellent idea. So what I'm intending to do is start, depending on how the feedback I get, what I'm intending to do is start a feature. Now I'm thinking I might call it Bloody Hell, Look Who It Is, and then the person's name, or Bloody Hell, It's. Now, I've already spoken to Gary Liddon, and Gary's well up for doing this. What I need to do, if anybody can tell me, I know you can have, there's one of my friends, Chris Heaney, or Chris Ashanked, fellow YouTuber, excellent YouTuber, go check him out. He is part of the Two Fat Bastards. Now, I do apologise, I can't remember the other guy's name, apologies for that, but I watch them, they're excellent, two guys who just basically talk shite for 2.5 hours, once a month I think it is. Now they occasionally, when they're talking, there's a thing they use, and basically the camera, they've both got their webcams on, and whoever's talking, the camera cuts to that person, so it means that you can see you're always getting the person talking. So I'll need to find out for Chris what he does to do that. So what I'm intending, Gary's already agreed to do it, so I'm going to be getting Gary Liddon in. I've asked my mate Steve Snake, who designed Kega Fusion, plus he wrote a lot of classic sort of console games. I've also emailed Dominic Diamond to ask if he would do an interview with me. Now he's got 10,000 subscribers on his not subscribers, friends on his Facebook. So whether he even gets back to me or not, I don't know. I mean, he's a good lad. I mean, I used to chat to him quite a lot in the early days, but he's obviously getting more and more popular. So I've asked him. I'm one of these guys, I think, if I don't ask. But you know what? Because I've been in this industry, a hobby of mine for such a long time, I have got a lot of mates who are, you know, for different reasons. I mean, I could probably get Gary Penn. One of my mates, Andy, used to work. Used to be a staff writer on Super Play, which was a classic kind of manga type SNES magazine. He also was the editor on Total Film, and he's also an absolutely supremely amazing video game player. I've seen Andy play. He's just fucking awesome. It's like, he puts me to shame. He's awesome. I mean, he's got a high score of something like 1.5 million in Robotron. It doesn't matter what game you play. In fact, there's a famous. In fact, I'm not even going to tell you this one, because that will be something I'm going to ask him if I get Andy on. I'm sure he'll agree to do that. So I've got Andy, I'm going to get on. I've got my mate Ian, who designed the graphics for Frack. I'll get my big mate Tony Temple, world champion missile command. I could probably get John Studley, who's Pac-Man, the best Pac-Man player in Britain and one of the best in the world. There's lots of other guys. I've also got a mate Andy, who used to work for Thalamus Software. He designed a lot of the games. Probably get Jeff Minter. I could drop Jeff a message and see if he would do it. Although he's quite a shy guy, so I don't know. But anyway, you can probably tell where I'm going with this. I've got a lot of guys. Thanks Jamie for coming up with that idea. I think it's a superb idea. So what I'm hoping to do is get these guys lined up now. It's probably going to be one a month, because the way I figure I'm going to do this is when I know who I'm going to be getting on, it's probably going to be half an hour tops. What I'll do is I'll let you guys know who I'm going to have on, and you can post questions, keep them clean obviously, questions you would like answered, and then I can put down my questions, have them all pre-written before I do the interview with the guys. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about this. This is I don't know why I didn't think of it. But yeah, it should be fun. There's a lot of guys that I could think of that would be interesting, and even guys that I don't know. I'm not afraid to. I'm not shy in coming forward. I'd quite happily contact Andrew Braybrook, or maybe not Peter Molyneux, but I would contact any of these guys and tell them what I am, because a lot of these guys love talking about video games, and that's what it's all about. And you know. So anyway, we'll see where we go with that. But anyway, this is probably enough. I've waffled on long enough. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave all comments. Again, any comments that you have, or subject topics that you want me to talk about for next week's waffle, please post them. I really do need your questions, because it does get hard trying to think of other stuff. Oh, one thing before I go, I forgot to write it down. Anybody that happens to, if anyone listens to retro podcasts, chances are the podcast of choice, it's certainly the choice retro podcast I go to, is a group of guys calling themselves the Retro Asylum. Now they are without doubt the best retro podcasts out there, brilliant. It was started up by a guy, Andy, I can't remember Andy's second name, I do apologise, but they've got a great bunch. Andy's had to sadly sort of retire from that scene. He's just got sort of family commitments and that kind of stuff. But there's Dean Swaney and various other guys. I mean, I was down in Blackpool, playing Blackpool last year, and Retro Podcast did a live podcast. They're excellent, they're really interesting to listen to. Go into iTunes, type in Retro Asylum and you can download them. But anyway, I'm waffling a wee bit. One of the guys, the official Retro Asylum, they subscribed to my channel and they I made a comment last week saying how much they enjoy my channel, and I said, oh well, you know, if you ever want if they ever want an old Scottish bloke who can talk pish for a while to appear in one of their episodes, then I might know somebody. And they said, yeah, that'd be great. So you never know, guys, I might be appearing on Retro Asylum. It would be an honour to be asked to do that, it really would. But they're a good bunch of guys, and yeah, that would be a lot of fun. So if that does happen, I shall let you know. But anyway, guys, as usual, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe. Have an utterly fantastic weekend. And finally, thank you so much for watching.